some people would say, well, this is America, we should have the freedom to divorce at will. How would you answer that question?
In American culture, we value individual liberties, individual rights, and often use the Bill of Rights as a justification for a lot of things which we shouldn't. The Bill of Rights was really the intention behind the Bill of Rights was to protect the individual from the government, not from each other. The laws that the government would impose to be tyrannical or oppressive, that's really what individual liberties are for, not altering relationships between equal citizens. What most regulatory laws do is they alter the relationship between citizens and the government so that we have a clear understanding what is acceptable and what is not. What no fault does is it alters the relationship between two equal parties, private citizens, to say one has an advantage or a privilege over another. So when it comes to personal liberties to seek a divorce, I would say that people should know that they're forfeiting some of their individual liberties in order to engage in a union that involves more than just yourself. There's a lot of things that are born out of marriage that are financial in nature, that are social in nature. People have children, will form their identities and their understanding of themselves, their roles in society. Legal statuses, all of that is taken away. So there is a limitation on individual liberties, and that's often when it encroaches on somebody else's personal liberties, individual rights. So the one that's trying to pursue their individual rights, the question for me would be, are you encroaching on others' individual rights? And in the case of no-fault divorce, the answer is yes.
It's a very interesting response. I look at the idea of no-fault divorce violating liberties. Now, the people that want to say, well, we're all for liberty, therefore everybody should have the liberty to divorce at will. Part of liberty involves having a recourse of some sort. The very essence of civil liberty consists in the right of every person to claim protection from laws. If we don't have any laws, how do we have protections? We just live in an anarchy at that point, or a tyranny. But part of the idea with liberty, from my perspective, is that we have laws to protect us from actions of others that would exploit us or abuse us. Are you following my train of logic with this?
Yes. Recourse, many state constitutions call it a right to a remedy for a grievance that you experience. From both sides of the aisle, let me start first with the person seeking divorce. The remedy that they're seeking is basically divorce. That is the remedy. Now, the remedy has to be in response to some kind of grievance. And under no fault, there's not a real cognizable grievance that people give. I mean, most cases that I've seen just say, I want a divorce, and that's it. They don't say, what is the grievance? What is at stake? What am I losing? What is the harm done or the injury in fact that justifies that remedy, if divorce is the remedy? So it's incoherent with general principles of law, which require someone to express what is at stake, what is your grievance, in order to have recourse or a remedy of divorce. And if there is no specific grievance that justifies legal action or remedy, then there's no legal case to be had. For the person that is on the other side, on the receiving end, who does not want the divorce and wants to remain in a marriage, maybe to have a whole family, to have
For the protections that marriage provides.
Protections that marriage provides in general for all people.
Right, including the children,
Including the children
grandchildren.
and grandchildren and extended family as well.
Right.
It all plays in together with a strong cohesion of a societal unit. And if that can be taken away without any sort of defense whatsoever, I don't know if it's exactly civil forfeiture in the original sense of what civil forfeiture means, but it is essentially a civil forfeiture.
It is a civil, exactly.
Forfeiture is having life, liberty, and property taken away from you for something that you haven't committed, that you haven't caused harm with. Civil forfeiture basically is taking something away from you that you own or that you have claim to, without you having done anything wrong. So an example of that would be either in the olden days ships or even houses today where there was criminal activity happening, such as drug running or whatever it was that was taking place in someone's house. So the government can take that house away from you even though you're the owner and you personally haven't done anything wrong. If other people have used your house as a means for criminal activity, they can take your house away. That's actually a very controversial thing. So in no-fault divorce, it's oftentimes one spouse sues another spouse.
And every time one spouse sues the other spouse.
They do, but it's actually, if you look at the language, they're not saying that the other spouse caused you harm. They're saying that the marriage, the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage caused you harm, as if the marriage is some third entity.
That's a very interesting point. So someone who is not directly causing you harm is being punished.
For the breakdown of the marriage.
Yeah.
So basically, it gets back, well, if there is no intention, there is no fault from the other spouse, basically the marriage broke down by accident or from external forces that had nothing to do with the spouse. And so we can take that marriage away from you as a third entity, even though you weren't responsible for it.
But Matt, she hasn't made supper for me for how long? And or Matt, he's not whining and dining me like he did before we got married. So isn't that some type of harm?
If it's the harm that all of the state agrees that would be justification for divorce under civil law.
Okay.
So again, that's the idea behind a general law.
Okay.
Is that the legislature would pass a law that says you can get a divorce if you don't cook dinner for X amount of days. If they pass that law, it would be acceptable. I don't think people would have it, but it would be acceptable under the idea of a general law in civil courts. But to say that you can decide from case to case to case doesn't provide anyone with any knowledge of why that divorce is irretrievable and how you could have prevented it from happening. I mean, if someone just says, yeah, you bit your nails too many times and that's why I want a divorce, well, you should have let me know, or I should know that that's the reason for divorce. Otherwise, I couldn't have prevented it. Again, I'm speaking in civil law terms. There has to be some standard of society that the majority of people decide, okay, this justifies divorce. But even though an irretrievable breakdown looks like a general law, it's not. It's tailored to special and particular situations from person to person. And in the case of New York, we have basically just a statement of irretrievability. All you have to do is say that the marriage is irretrievable and no evidence has to be made. The evidence is your statement.